Welcome to the Lockdown Economy, a series of interviews by the think tank AlterContacts, where real entrepreneurs share their insights. My name is Yulia Skupchenko, and today our guest is Massimo Mercuri, the co-founder of AlterContacts. Hello, Massimo.
Hi, Yulia. Good morning.
Good morning. How is the weather where you are?
Well, I'm in Amsterdam. It's a beautiful sunny day, really like we've been kind of waiting. It feels almost like summer today. I think we're going to reach the 25, so it's beautiful.
Excellent to hear. So tell me, what is that you're doing? What is your business? What is the think tank? I think many people have that question.
To give you a bit of background, I have worked in so many different companies in so many different places and different sizes that has allowed me to observe a general problem. The general problem is that the organizations or companies or actually everything that is supposed to produce something is organized in a way that people cannot think together. They have to think independently. They all have the very silo way of working by design, unless they are really a think tank precisely, or they are a very experimental organization, or very innovative. So what happens then is that you have managers, and the managers are managing budgets instead of really managing people. Again, I'm generalizing here. Then you have, of course, the executives, and the executives are so busy taking care of the shareholders and stakeholders outside and compliance and the public relations and so on, that when it comes down to strategy, it is really just filling up templates and like you do a PowerPoint slide, and that's the strategy. But very rarely people explore not only what are the direct consequences of their decisions, but also what could be the further impact or the repercussions of that impact. So with that in mind, I was always thinking, okay, we need people who help others in thinking better. And a think tank does exactly that. The think tank basically has, it has the capability to connect these people that normally would not have many things in common sometimes, because it's true, we have in common some things, but not many. And based on the theory that you know something that I don't know, and I something that you don't know, together we know more. Align these to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and what you have is a group of people that whatever they do, they see how it contributes to fulfill and to reach those goals by 2030, because they're quite ambitious. And we participate in several different areas.
And so to summarize that, it is a group of people that comes in before the decision is made by some other entity and helps them to assess all of the consequences, indirect, direct, and help them align to a specific values, for example, sustainable development goals. Is that correct? Are there customers for that kind of thing?
So yeah, because what you just described is like the ultimate product of a think tank, right? When it's a group of experts that they are called OnDemand. The reality is the market is very diversified, and it has need for much simpler things. Like, for example, we had a couple of webinars now during the lockdown that had lots of people participating. I mean, I gave a webinar that there were more than 160. I think it was 172 people.
How many stayed by the end of it?
160 something. So we only lost like 10, and it was
that's a very good
For
turnout.
my taste, it was long because it was about 45 minutes, and 45 minutes I consider it too long, to make the long story short, we move into any kind of activities, and we have initiatives that contribute to these goals. But at the same time, you have to consider that each one of the experts is a volunteer and has his own business, his own professional activity, or works somewhere. Yeah, some are academics, others are independent professionals. So each one works independently, but thanks to the fact that we have the common brand, we automatically can reach to customers that before we would not be able to address. So that's one part of the business. Another part of the business is the publications and how we contribute in general. So some of the experts have written books even, but it gets down to simplest things sometimes, you know, a talk, a lecture, a workshop.
Basically, many ways to share the knowledge, to produce and share the knowledge.
To help other people think.
Well, that brings us to the next part, which is what has happened to your business model or to the think tank during the lockdown.
I have to say that there was a moment of like, okay, what do we do now? Yeah, because everything looked like, you know, many jobs were canceled, others were put in pause, in indefinite pause forever. But at the same time, I think each one of the experts actually that composed AlterContacts was very active on his own or her own way. Just like you now are doing these interviews, for example, you know, but we had others who translated into offers for the people that were locked down into something. Others were trying to transform what was before a group dynamic in person to transform it into an online type of activity. I did that myself with one of the different types of workshops I do. So we have people everywhere, in Italy, in Latin America, in Northern Europe, and even in Thailand, transforming what they were doing previously and seeing how it can be applied in the online life.
And so how is that working out? Because many people, especially who were offering group sessions, try to do it online, and the response is somewhat dubious. What is it in your case?
Well, we tested very different things. You were also part of some tests, but we've had big initiatives that we participated with, like the Pan-European initiative of the EU versus virus, that ended up being in a mega hackathon, more than 20,000 people worldwide for 48 hours, all the way down to the one-on-one sessions just to help each other. I think everything contributes, but I think if we try to stick to what we see in the long run, meaning be capable to think better, that is always valid in a crisis, not in a crisis, and so on. So we started doing, for example, the webinars with the University Anáhuac in Mexico, with Alejandro Cantún, who is in charge of a group of PhD students. And it became a series of webinars instead, where multiple experts from AlterContacts have been invited to give webinars to these guys to help them. They are studying strategy, they're studying business and strategy, so it was just perfect, right? At the same time, we moved ahead with the conversations because you don't want to lose sight. So we had a very nice encounter with the United Nations and also with UNICEF. With UNICEF, it was a great conversation, which basically boils down to now the ball is in our court to propose something on how we want to contribute to eradicate ignorance, which is one of our major initiatives. So that was pretty good.
And so how does it translate into your future plans? Do you see online as being a sustainable market for your services? Do you see the collaboration with any of their international organizations becoming somewhat part of your business? Because of course, as entrepreneurs, we all have to also make a living. And I hear that in many great things that you and the expert have done, well, us and the experts have done, a lot of it has been non-profit. So how does what does the future look like?
Well, consider that AlterContacts is only 1 year old. So during the first year, you usually just establish a name, or the second year even. We were capable to have already customers and returning customers. So it was already pretty good. But the things have to change. We cannot rely on what we knew. That's why we keep the high level goal still there inside, because the planet still needs to be cleaned, the planet still needs to function better, otherwise we are irrelevant for the planet. Nature will continue without us. But on an individual level, on a professional level, we have to maintain visibility, and I know some that are doing it extremely well, you know, doing online events, maintaining a conversation with their customers and so on. We need to keep producing to not to lose the habit. It's like training for an athlete. Yeah, you need to keep doing, otherwise you lose the momentum. You lose and at the same time, I would definitely suggest to learn something collateral or update the skills. I would suggest that to anyone. I'm doing that myself because I see that, for example, in the future of AlterContacts, to be more credible as a think tank and to have more, as they say, more meat on the bone when we propose something or when we share something, to have also numbers, visuals, information that supports whatever we are working with, whatever is the topic that we are exploring. So it's not just the opinions of the expert, not just relying on what people know, but also validate with real data. So, and this boils down to one thing. I think that what is coming is a time when it's important to do something tangible, something that customers will feel that they're getting something real.
So the immediate benefit, similar to apps like Netflix, where you pay the subscription and you immediately get the benefit of the movies.
Well, I don't know about that market really, because I'm not an expert in that market. You know, right now I think they are booming anyway. I mean, those are and people will be used indeed. But yeah, to your point, is a shorter interaction. Yes, instead of making it very long before they get a deliverable, the transaction has to be much shorter, less ping pong.
So that applies to all of the consulting business. I mean, when before a consultant had to call up somebody and explain what the service is and why it's important to have it, you know, do you see that fading away slowly because it needs to be so crystal clear that it can be just purchased on the spot?
Yeah, probably we have the opportunity for organizations like ours to really become experts on demand as a spin-off, right? And that in that case is not anymore just a think tank, but it becomes almost a consulting type of thing. I wouldn't like to call it like that, but it depends, because if the market changes, you have to adapt, right? So you have two routes. One, you become more like a business, still being a think tank, a private think tank. You know, you find what project transformations, problem solving, and strategy, etc. Or you go fully into the nonprofit, and then you start looking for grants and funding. Those are the two roads.
All right. Well, so from what I hear from you, it's the course is on self-development. The course is on adaptation, trying to figure out what is happening and how, you know, it's still in process. There's no final.
Yeah, not only that, but it has also proven in these last couple of months, 2-3 months, we have seen that whatever we knew was wrong. All the predictions were wrong so far. Yeah, we are just controlling something, but you know, the pandemic is still going on, just in a quiet way. So it's really very unreal. It's almost a dystopia that we are living. So I think the best is keep the long view in mind, but take care of the day-to-day by making sure that if there is any business opportunity, take it. Improve your skills, maintain visibility with the potential market that you have. And in some cases, depending how the savings are, start thinking if you need a plan B, you know, to have a CV and get a job somewhere. Maybe a temporary thing, maybe a part-time, just to make sure that, because of course the free professionals or the independent professionals, I call them, one of the liabilities we have is that we rely on our savings in these cases when everything else stops. And not everybody's doing good. Some are doing fantastic because their job was.
That is something we're gonna find out in the series, in the more videos and more interviews to come. But I'd like to thank you for for your advice, for sharing with us the story of the think tank and your ideas about what's happening and how you're adapting to it. And okay, thank you to everyone who joined us today. If you want to contact Massimo, you can find his information in the text below the video. I invite you to like and subscribe to our channel. And as I said, many more videos to come. Thank you again, Massimo, for today.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
And stay tuned for more. Bye.